The island New York never forgot. In one of the busiest cities on the earth, there is an island where nobody lives, where streets have vanished beneath roofs, and where hospitals' windows open onto empty rooms. North Brother Island sits between Bronx, Queens, and Rikers Island, close enough to see the city, but separated from it by fast, dangerous water. Beside it lies the small South Brother Island. Together, these islands have been a colonial claim, a quarantine station, the scene of a mass casualty disaster, a home for military veterans, a lock rehabilitation center, an abandoned ranch, and finally a sanctuary for wildlife. The story not simply about an airy place. It is about a city decided who belongs inside society, who must be kept apart. What it chooses to remember, and what nature does when people leave. The Companions. In 1614, Dutch West India Company claimed both islands and claimed them the Companions. By the late 17th centuries, the British controlled the area. In 1695, the colonial government granted the islands to James Graham, but the treacherous current discouraged development. The boundary changed as New York expanded. The islands were incorporated into Long Island City in 1870. North Brother Island was transferred to New York County in 1881 and later became a part of Bronx. South Brother followed in 1964. Their political identity changed, but their physical isolation remained. For most of this early story, North Brother was uninhabited. A lighthouse was built in 1869 to warn ships about the same current that had kept the settlers away. But soon the isolation became believable. New York City was growing rapidly, and its crowded neighbors made infectious diseases increasingly difficult to control. The city sent sickness away. During the 19th centuries, epidemics moved easily through New York's crowded housing and busy port. Public health was gradually becoming an organization responsibility of the government. The Metropolitan Board of Health was created in 1866 and a city Department of Health followed in 1870. By 1892, New York had opened what the city described as the world's first municipal laboratory routinely used to diagnose diseases. In 1900 alone, officers vaccinated approximately 810,000 New Yorkers during a smallpox campaign. In 1885, Riverside Hospital moved from Blackwell's Island, today known as Roosevelt Island, to North Border Island. The institution had begun as a smallpox hospital, but its missions expanded to other contagious diseases, including typhoid fever, tuberculosis, and later on polio. The island became a medical border. Patients crossed the water and entered a place designed to prevent the spread of infection to the larger population. Historical American Building Survey record date the complex initial construction to the years between 1881 and 1885. Major additions followed during the 1930s and early 1940s. For doctors and government officials, Ireland offered controlled separations. For patients, it could mean medical treatment and protection. It could also mean loneliness, stigma, and confinement. The difference depended on who was speaking. The General SLOCUM. On the morning of June 15, 1904, more than 1,300 people boarded the excursion steamer General SLOCUM. Most were women and children from St. Mark's Evangelical Lutheran Church in Manhattan, German American community. They expected music, food, and a day away from the crowded city. Instead, a fire spread through the wooden vessel. The emergency equipment failed disastrously. Horses watched when crews attempted to use them. Lifeboats could not be properly lowered. Life preservers, weakened by age and poor materials, trembled in passengers' hands or failed to keep victim above the water. As plane moved across the ship, terrified passengers were forced toward the railings. Many could not swim. Some jumped into the East River. Others remained trapped abroad. The burning vessels was eventually driven toward North Brother Island, where hospital workers, staff members, and patients rushed to the shoreline. But rescue came too late for most of those abroad. A total of 1,021 people died from fire, smoke, crushing injuries, or drowning. For almost a century until the terrorist attack of 1711 in 2001, the General SLOCUM disaster represented the greatest single loss of life in New York City's history. The Library of Congress preserved the photographs of divers recovering the bodies from the wreckage. One archival description records that more than 175 bodies were removed from a single office saloon. Mary MALLON, the most famous person confined on North Border Island, was Mary MALLON, an Irish immigrant who worked as a cook. MALLON appeared healthy, but she carries Salmonella typhi, the bacterium that causes typhoid fever, and could spread it through food prepared with the contaminated hands. She became one of the first widely recognized examples of an asymptomatic carrier, a person who can transmit an infection with experiencing visible symptoms. Health officials traced several outbreaks to kitchens where MALLON had worked and detained her in 1907. She spent 3 years in a small cottage on North Brother Island. In 1910, she was released after promising that she would never work as a cook again. 5 years later, officials connected another typhoid outbreak to a hospital kitchen where she was working under a different name. She was returned to North Border Island in 1915 and remained there until her death in 1938. How many people did Mary MALLON infected? The answer depends on how individual cases are attributed. The sources material cites researchers who estimated at least 122 infections and 5 deaths. But her story is larger than a number. MALLON knowingly broke the condition of her release, placing other people at risk. At the same time, she was an immigrant and a working class woman with limited powers, subjected to decades of confinement without a criminal conviction. Other known typhoid carriers were frequently monitored rather than permanently isolated. MALLON received more severe treatment partly because she continued to work in kitchens and resisted the authority of health officials. Our case created difficult questions that still exist today when individual freedom conflicts with public safety. How much power should the government have? North Brother Island became the physical location of that ethical conflict, a place where medicine, law, fear, social class, and public responsibility meet. The last years of the hospital. Riverside Hospital continued to respond to New York's changing diseases. During the city's 1916 polio epidemic, the hospital treated numerous patients. tuberculosis later shaped the island's final major period of constructions. A large tuberculosis pavilion opened in 1943, part of the Constitution's phase documented by Library of Congress between 1941 and 1943. Yet the medical work was already changing. Improved sanitation, disease surveillance, laboratory testing, and antibiotic treatments gradually reduced the need for remote mesh quarantine hospitals. The BCG tuberculosis vaccine existed, but it was never generally used in United States. Modern CDC guidance still states that the vaccine is not commonly administered in the country because of the relative low risk of infection. Its variable in effectiveness against adult pulmonary tuberculosis and interference with skin test results. North Brother Island therefore did not become obsolete because one miracle vaccine defeated tuberculosis. It became obsolete because medicine and public health developed a much broader toolkit: laboratories, contact tracing, antibiotics, vaccination, program for certain diseases, improving housing, health education, and made treatment closer to the patient's home. The main antibiotics used to fight tuberculosis were developed during the middle of the 20th century, transferring a disease that had once required a long-term isolation and institutional care. By the 1930s, public health advances were already reducing the need to quarantine large number of people on remote islands. Riverside Hospital eventually closed, leaving behind an expensive medical complex designed for an earlier strategy of diseases control. New resident and old method. After the Second World War, North Brother Island briefly housed military veterans starting at new colleges and their families during a nationwide housing shortage. For a time, the former quarantine station became sometimes resembling a neighborhood with apartments, children, and daily ferry trips to the mainland. When the housing emergency eased, the island emptied again. In the 1950s, the city opened a treatment center for adolescents addicted to drugs, particularly heroin. The program combined education, rehabilitation, confinement. Some young people were locked in rooms while experiencing withdrawal. When the forest entered the buildings, trees broke through the pavement, roots entered the foundation, vines climbed walls and crossed windows. Worn shallows nested inside structure originally built for patients, nurses, and doctors. Most of the original buildings remained standing in some form, but the many had become dangerously unstable and were almost invisible beneath dense vegetations. North Border Island was closed to the public. Access permits were generally limited to the compelling scientific or academic purposes due to collapsing structure, open maintenance poles, thick poisoning ivy, and sensitivity of the nesting wildlife. The North and South Islands became part of a protected wildlife sanctuary. Since 1985, the NYC Bird Alliance has monitored new harvest nesting herons and the other wading birds. The Harbor Herons project has accumulated more than 35 years of continuous data from islands around the city. North Brother Island once supported one of the region's largest colonies of black-crowned night herons. However, the bird had abandoned the island by 2008 for reasons that remain uncertain. Fire returns on March 8, 2025. Smoke was reported rising from North Brother Island. Firefighters responding by land and marine units discovered a fire in one of the abandoned structures. The roof had reportedly collapsed, and the island's lack of roads and working infrastructure complicated the operations. Firefighters had to be transported by boat, marine units positioning themselves offshore and farmed water toward the warning structure. Actually, according to the incident account preserved in the source of materials, it took 5 hours and 12 minutes to extinguish the fire. The island buildings are slowly being taken apart by weather, water, and roots, while birds use the same isolation that once attracted hospital and government institution. Human beings selected North Brother Island because the water created distance. Wildlife survives there for the same reason. For us, that is the island's final lessons. North Border Island is not outside of New York. It is one of the clearest records of what New York has feared, attempt, failed to protect, and gradually to learn to understand.